Early Morning, Chapter 17. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Mira Rose. Artwork by Cat Saturn Art on Instagram. Go give them a follow. You can find a link to them in the description box below, as well as the links to the previous 16 parts if you haven't heard those yet. Now then, if you haven't subscribed, you should do that, and leave a like and a comment. If you don't, oopsies. Wow, okay, just bumped into the microphone there. If you don't know what to comment, put microphone troubles. Please enjoy Early Morning, Chapter 17. Adrien Agreste, 4:10 a.m. Adrien developed a fondness for early mornings over the past few months. Well, he'd liked them even before he'd lost his lady, but there's solace to be found when the city stills. There's something about it that can build a person up. A solemn, reverent courage to boost the person basking in it. Adrien was going to visit Marinette as Cat Noir. Then he would detransform. Yes, he should sleep on this more, but no. It's not that it was now or never, or that he'd lose his courage later on. He was ready. Finally, Adrien was ready to move on from his first true love and all of her masked secrets. Marinette would be okay, but he needed to put himself first now. He needed to be kind to himself, and letting her hate him one-sidedly wasn't... If Adrien was going to live a life his love wanted, the love that died, he needed to do this. Theoretically, she'd find out eventually. Plague. Adrien didn't tear his eyes away from the city that both loved him and destroyed him. Claws out. Cat Noir arrived at the Dupang Chang bakery just after 5. As much as he hated to admit it, he didn't go straight there. He took his time, his nerves getting the better of him as he looked to traffic lights for answers. Sometimes you have to romanticize your life to get things done, even if that means making yourself the main character of a Taylor Swift song. Cat? He was almost as startled as Marinette was as he landed on her patio. She'd popped up with a mug of something sweet with flour smeared across her wrists. Hey. He straightened his posture. Just finished your shift? Yeah. She wrapped both hands around her cup, steam rising. What are you doing here? How to begin? Wanted to apologize for being a jerk? He blinked, frozen with words on his tongue. She knew? She knew he was... How? Well, she was smarter than him, so... Yeah. He looked down. Oh, come on, Kitty. I'm sure you had a good reason for blowing me off. She bumped hips with him as she took her place by his side, even if you were a jerk about it. Oh, that's what she meant. Cat's face flushed at the intimacy of her casualness, a needle pricking doubt into his bloodstream, changing the rhythm of his good idea into something he couldn't conduct. I have a confession. Cat's heart ached as he turned to smile at her. Yeah? Marinette's grin widened, and he noticed some flour by her ear. Let me guess. You have a secret rubber duck collection. He snorted, a good excuse to look away. Oh, how he wished he could keep that grin. If he told her, he wouldn't be able to. But he should. He should tell her. Mind if we go inside? Why? She pointed to the street. It's so nice outside. Cat kept his smile even, playing at a casual conversation as best he could. So I can de-transform. Instead of dropping her jaw or rolling her eyes, Marinette looked up at him, an eyebrow raised. Yeah? Bet. Yeah. Bet. Did you forget to feed Plag or something? Hurtful. Cat laughed and took a step toward the trap door. Come on. If you eat my breakfast, I'm gonna slap your tummy. You slap my tummy anyway. Come on. Cat couldn't tell if it was the wood or his heart that thunked with each stair riser, but he could taste his tongue. Despite his resolution, he was nervous. Scared. Is this what Ladybug felt like when she wrote those letters? Is this why Ladybug wrote Adrien a goodbye instead of visiting him face to face? Is this why Ladybug never told Cat Noir? He couldn't help but embrace the melancholy of the possibility. Saying goodbye to her boyfriend was hard, so she wrote it in a letter. But for her partner? For Cat? What if even a letter was too hard for her? He was probably wrong, but it's all he had to cling to for confidence as he turned to let Marinette pass him at the bottom. What? She said, turning to face him. Should he set this up for her? Or throw her in the deep end? Cat stepped back a few risers, just out of the punch zone, and cleared his throat. Claws in. Her nothing is wrong face was impressive for the first 3 seconds she held it. Then, like she was staring at Chloe calling something feathered and hideous fashionable, Marinette began to blink rapidly. Am I in bed? She asked, her eyes scanning Adrien like he'd showed up to Fashion Week in jeans and a stained t-shirt. Marinette. What else could he say? No. She pointed a finger at him. No, this isn't funny. Marinette. Adrien tried again, but what could he say? Sorry, I know you hate me, but psych, I'm also your best friend and former paramour. No. Turning away, Marinette racked a hand through her hair. He could see her holding her temper. A temper he'd been on the other side of for years, until he wasn't. It's okay to be mad. He thought the suggestion would help her explode. He thought she would yell at him and tell him she didn't need to be given permission for her feelings. He thought she'd tell him to leave or even swing a fist. He thought she might even cry, but the angry, hot tears. But she didn't. She dropped her hand from her hair to cover her face, then turned to look at him, blinking twice while masking her mouth and nose. Adrien. Yes? It took everything to not stiffen. You're Cat Noir. He shifted his weight. Yes. And I need... Plag began, but Adrien shoved him into his pocket. Sorry. Marinette closed her eyes and sighed, turning to walk to her chase. I must have looked like an idiot. She didn't, but it was a rhetorical statement. I'm the one who kept it from you. I don't blame you. Marinette sat, or rather flopped onto the chase, staring at the ceiling. Explains why I hate you so much. You mean me being a floozy? Yeah. That got a chuckle. And to think, you were trying to comfort your girlfriend, and instead she thought you were a pervert. My bad. Adrien sat down on a riser, unsure of what else to do. "Oh, come on, Kat." Marinette looked over her shoulder. "Don't make things complicated." The line was such a ladybug thing to say, but she didn't know that. "I'll make sure to establish relationships after people wake up from comas next time." "Oh, please." She rolled her eyes, then narrowed them. "Why tell me now?" How could he possibly tell her? How could he confess another shattering truth after this one? About that." She sat up. "You're leaving." It wasn't a question. She'd put it together. He glanced up at her, face facing his shoes. "I plan on it." She held the silence as Adrien studied the scuffs on his shoes. Plag peeked up at him, rubbing his stomach with such distress you'd think he'd dropped his ice cream cone in the middle of a grocery store aisle. "Let me go with you." That certainly wasn't in the plan. Granted, he hadn't spent too much time developing his plan, but still. "Excuse me?" "It's your birthday next week, right? You're gonna be 18. Let's go somewhere." This was not the right time to blush, but Adrien felt his ears burn. "You remember?" Marinette stilled, looking down, then back up again. "Yeah, I knew that. I knew it's your birthday next week." "Because it's Cat Noir's birthday?" "No." She dragged her answer. "No, I know because..." He couldn't bear to hear her answer, but he couldn't live without it. Oh, what a fool. A glimmer, a sparkle of a chance was all it took to shake him when it came to this girl. "Because..." he tried. "Because..." She made eye contact, and for a moment, Adrien thought he was speaking to her, the person he'd lost. "Because I remember that." "You remember..." Adrien couldn't finish his question. Marinette looked away as his heartbeat filled the silence. Seriously? Was this real? It was his turn to ask if this was a dream, as the ripples of adrenaline in his bloodstream caused a chasm in his chest. And, despite months of keeping it together, Adrien's facade fissured as his nails dug into the sides of his arms. Bottles upon bottles cracked as they shook into each other, leaving him with one reaction. Adrien wept. Adrien wept as the sun rose on yet another morning.